Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about the latest Titans episode. But before I get into that, did you know Doom Patrol Season 3 is on? Like, I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't realize that till I was like surfing around on HBO Max. So, like, when I was on Twitter, there's this YouTuber reviewer who I follow, and she said that she has the first 5 episodes of the review for Doom Patrol out, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, that makes sense because she's one of those real reviewers where networks actually reach out and they want her to like review their stuff prior to it coming out. So she does it about like a week or so, maybe 2 before like the actual season drops and stuff like that. So I had no idea that it's like on HBO Max already, but the first 5 aren't, just the first 3. But professional people, they get like the first 5 and stuff. And so I was very shocked and surprised that the first 3 episodes are up on HBO Max. And I really love Doom Patrol. I love the first season. I really liked the second season. I remember when Doom Patrol first came out, that was right after like Titans had came out, and Titans had left a bad taste in people's mouth after season 1. And so when people watched Doom Patrol, it was like a breath of like fresh air because it was more emotional, which is something people wanted. There was humor, which is something people wanted. There was more like people acting more human. That's what people wanted. But strangely enough, there was no action, and they didn't even turn into a superhero group. And we assumed that would happen in the second season, and it doesn't. And what's really strange about that, in the first season, you have one team member who wants to like be a superhero and form a team, but in the second season, that person completely drops it. Then the second season, another character will want to do that, but then it's completely dropped. So it's kind of like, are they ever going to be a superhero team, or just going to be a dramatic show about people with superpowers who feel sad and depressed about themselves? Who knows? Well, on to what this video is about. It's about Titans Season 3, the episode entitled Souls. Now, this episode was peculiar. Like, this episode was just an odd, strange little episode. It was pleasant, and it was a nice episode, and it was an interesting, out of place kind of episode. I have to say, like, I was not expecting this episode at all. When I say it was out of place, I mean it was just out of place from what is going on with the actual season. Like, it doesn't fit within the actual storyline. This is like its own little separate thing, and none of the characters that normally show up have shown up except for the past characters. And I was just like, okay, this is interesting. Where is this going? I'm like, whoa, where is this going? And then I'm just like, man, this is just like an odd episode. It feels so out of place. Like, I get they wanted to have like this center around this type of event, but they should have had the main cast and they're doing their thing and coinciding from what's been going on with the entire season. So it felt a little strange and peculiar, I have to say. I mean, it was a neat, interesting episode. I've seen episodes like this on other shows, but this was just like an out of place episode. Like, it's one of those episodes that sticks out like a sore thumb. Okay, let's say this. Say like you have a background, like a wall, and on the wall there's like this smudge, like a really, really like dark smudge. Say it's like black paint or something like that. Black paint, like a dot of black paint on a wall, and everything else is white. Like, that's how much it would stick out. Like, you notice it, Okay, so this episode starts off with Bruce Wayne. He's back. And like, I'm just like, oh, old Bruce is back. Like, what is he up to? He's supposed to be like in London. He's there talking to some British dude. And he's calling him Master Wayne. That's such an Alfred thing. So I'm thinking, oh wait, it can't be Alfred. Alfred's dead. Also, it can't be Alfred. Alfred's not this young. And then, so he's filling out a form, and Bruce looks distraught. And I had a feeling I knew what form it was, because the way Bruce kept looking and stuff. It's a will and testament form. And I'm just like, what? Oh, is he ill? Is he sick? Is he dying? Like, what's going on with him? Well, needless to say, he doesn't show back up until the very end of the episode. So It's one of those pacing issues. In fact, this entire episode is like a pacing issue where it's like all of a sudden there's this factor coming into the show, and it's just like, hey, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just strange. So that's kind of how the pacing is with Bruce and stuff. So, da 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 da, Raven's back. It's about Freak Nuts time. Like, where has she been? Well, I know where she been, but like, I figured she'll be like on Themyscira, but like, you never know with the writing of this show. Also, oh, it's chilly out. Like, it's cold up in this house. I know it's the second day of fall, but my God, it's cold. Ugh, I'm gonna miss wearing shorts and everything. Anyway, so yeah, Raven's back, and I was just like, well, it's about stinking time. Where has this actress been? I'm most seriously gonna look it up on her profile and see like her Wikipedia page and or her IMDb profile, whatever the thing's called, and see if she was like filming a movie or doing another show or something. So she's back, and with each passing season, her wig is getting so much better. In season one, her wig was terrible. Season two, it was great, and in season three, is even better. So she's wearing all white and silver, and the look of her really looks very similar to like how the people of Azarath dresses and stuff. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, she can't be there, but like every time I see like all these people around, they're dressed similar to her, and like in a circle. I'm like, is she on Azarath? But then no, she's in Themyscira. Now, I'm just gonna say this right here, right now. These women who are supposed to be Amazons, they don't look like Amazons. I'm sorry. They just don't. All right? They just don't. After watching like the Justice League movie and the Wonder Woman movie from the DCEU, like those are Amazons, okay? But these women don't look like Amazon. They don't look like they can even whoop on anybody. No disrespect. They just don't look like Amazons. Like, could they not have went to a gym and found some like bodybuilders or some yoga instructors or something like that? So anyway, I do appreciate their new look because in season two when they showed up, they didn't even dress like Amazons. They dressed like business women in trench coats. But now they have more of a Amazonian type look, but whatever kind of weird outfit they're wearing, those the white outfits, they don't look very Amazonian also, but they do look interesting. So at least they changed those up. And the background's pretty nice. It doesn't look like they're in type like a reconstructed place of Greece, but at least it's a nice scenery. It's a nice change of pace, and I don't see that blue filter tint nowhere. It's just like kind of like a golden kind of yellow kind of. But anyway, she's still trying to resurrect Donna. And I have to say, like, because they're still teaching her and stuff like that. And as they're like doing their chanting type thing, she's trying to use her powers to resurrect her, which gets her in trouble. So after that, she starts training blindfolded as the lady goes at her with a sword. Now, it's nice to see her finally, like, training. But it's still a little irritating to see Raven at like a teeny boppy little girl. Like, I'm just not used to seeing that. Like, in animation, I'm just used to seeing her being like morbid and goth and like that. So it's weird seeing her bounce up and down, like, okay, let's go, like, totally, like, for sure, and it's just like, it's weird seeing that, but of course, this version of Raven is very teeny bopperish, and her emotions are, like, all over the place, which, I have to say, that is kind of annoying, because Raven is one of those characters that try to keep her emotions in check. She can't be too happy, she can't be too sad, she can't be too mad, because her father will get released from like her forehead and stuff. And so they just having this Raven act like a teeny boppy kind of girl. She still reminds me of Rogue from the Fox X-Men movies. I have to say, her CGI powers they gave her, I still don't like. I haven't liked them since season one. Season one, I love the way her powers look. They were very demonic. And when you see like the smoke go everywhere, it looked like real smoke. Since season two, they've been doing kind of like this 3D goopy kind of smoke. And it just looks cheap and fake. And in this season, it looks cheaper than it did last season. Like it looks like this weird kind of web, gooey, like smoke kind of effect, and it's really cheap looking. I do not like it. Season one had the best CGI for her power. That's when the season had like a huge budget. Ever since then, I don't know what's been going on with their budget. So they basically tell her, you know, Donna can't be resurrected and you shouldn't be trying all this other stuff. And I've been wondering, okay, if they're not teaching her to necessarily resurrect her, then how she learn all this like demonic like power stuff with her hands waving in the air and trying to resurrect her? I don't get that. Plus, I thought the whole point of them was to resurrect her. So, anyway, so then this is when the odd stuff in the episode starts happening. The strange, peculiar stuff and the unlogical stuff. I did say it was a rant review for a reason. Well, a slight rant. Ooh, my voice, man, is changing. Like the whole change of the weather is getting me under the weather. It's that time of the year. So anyway, we see everything go to white and kind of grayish, and we see a train going off in like the woods, and there's snow everywhere. I feel the sentiments. It's cold, and so we see Tim Drake on the train. And so so the realization is, okay, he's in some type of like afterlife purgatory type thing. And so he's on the train and he's kind of confused and he's freaking out a little bit, and some guy calls his name and he's not sure what's going on, but he just gets up and he runs to the back of the train, and then we see Donna on the train and she's in this big old coat. And it's just like, it feels so good to see her again, man. She looks slightly different. Her lips look bigger for some reason. Anyway, so now the weird demonic things. This tells you how cheap their budget is. Okay, so they're extremely far away and they don't try to go close up with the camera. There's a reason why. These strange demonic things are wearing just regular clothes and like a coat. and a hood. And I think they got something around their face where you can't really see their face. That's all it is. Like when because they actually did a close-up scene by mistake, and when you see it, it's very cheap looking. Like this show has lost its budget, probably because season 2 was a hot mess. And so they're wearing just regular like black clothes in a very far away distance, and they add like a little CGI for wave effect, so you can't really see, but you can see when they get close up. So these strange things are like coming after them, so they like start running and stuff. And then out of nowhere, here comes a car, a fancy car, and it's Hank. I'm just like, what? And so he's like, get in. And so they get in. Okay, so here's my first problem with this purgatory kind of world. I get why Tim's there. He literally just got shot in the last episode, and he's dying to the point where he's about to be dead. Or maybe he is fully dead. But and so I get why he's on the train, because she said, like, you know, he's on the train, you're supposed to be on the train, you're supposed to go to your final destination, your final, like, death spot. So with that said, why is she still on there? Because it's been 9 months since season 2, like in the Titans world, and so she's literally just been sitting on a train for 9 months, waiting to go to her final death spot. Like, how slow is this train? And then when you look at other people on the train, they're kind of dressed like they're back in the 1930s and stuff. So it's just like, why are some people just sitting on this train for? So I get why he's there, but I don't get why she's still there 9 months later. And this appears to be the only train for like the deaf people. And not only that, but then now we see Hank there. And it's like, okay, these 3 people, 2 of them died in Gotham, 1 died in San Francisco. So I guess in all of DC world, this is the, like, you know, death, like the afterlife type thing, where everybody goes. And it makes no sense for her to go there, because isn't she supposed to be an Amazon? So therefore they have a different religious order and stuff. And so and then in the comic books, you know, there is Hades and stuff. And I think that's what it's called. No, wait, no. Okay, the Elysian Fields is like heaven. Tartarus, that's it. So why isn't she like there or in the Elysian Fields or something? So they had to go the cheap route and just make this like landscape area, which this purgatory thing is just basically just landscape. Like, it's land, and then we found out there's a house. And so I just don't understand how she's like, why she's still on that train for it, you know? And so when we see Hank, I knew it was Hank because he's dead, he got blown up. But this version of Hank is acting really different. He's smiley, he's jokey, he's carefree, and I'm just like, wow, I've never seen Hank act that way. He's normally very grumpy, but then his grumpy side comes out when he explains how he died. And when he explains how he died, when he said kaboom and everybody jumped, I jumped. And I was eating popcorn at 2 or 3 in the morning when I was watching this. And so I was just like, that was so unexpected. I almost spit the popcorn out. But then, yeah, he explains that, you know, it was Jason that blew him up. And so this is the part that I'm kind of starting to forget, because it's been a couple of episodes. He said that Jason took this strange gas and is making him act funny, and this is why he's acting this way. Does Hank know that? Like, Hank knew he was acting differently, but I don't know if Hank knew about the gas or not. See, it's been so many episodes. And like, we knew, the audience, we knew why Jason was acting this way. But I don't think at that point in time, none of the other Titans knew why Jason was acting this way. They assumed he was just being a butthead and everything. And so I don't think Hank knew that Jason was taking like the scarecrow toxin. So how does he know that? Because in this purgatory type state, nobody tells you like how you died and how this and this and that. You know what I'm saying? They don't tell you nothing about the real world. And so this is the other part that confuses me, and that's a slight rant. Hank is explaining to her the rules of this land. Basically, he tells her, if you're on the train, you get off the train, these little ghoul things come after you and um, kill you. And so I'm thinking to myself, wait, hold up. He's been there for like probably like a month, a couple of weeks. Because I don't know exactly how much time it'd be passing per episode, but he's been there for at least a couple of weeks. And so it's like Donna has been there for 9 months and she don't know the rules, but yet she knows that they're on the train going to their final destination. So how is it he knows more about the rules of this place, but she don't? And not only that, but if she's been on that train for 9 months, how has she not seen him? We haven't seen no other train. So far, this is the only train we've seen. So we must assume that this is the only train in the afterlife and stuff. So it's a pretty big train. So it's kind of like, how do they not see each other? Like, I don't get that. Like, she saw Tim of all things, but she don't see him. It's just bad writing, man. And so Hank takes her to like, and Tim to like this giant house that has a bar in it. Where this house came from, why is the house there? Like, I don't know. But it's there because they have no budget. And so he's talking and he's telling them how like he's been trying to help other people out because, you know, other people have been getting off the train and he's been like fighting like the ghoul thingies. But there's another part in here that's gonna bug me too. I'll get to that a little bit later, so let's pin it for now. But yeah, he's been helping people and trying to fight off those things. And so it's like, okay, so there's other people who get off the train and he's trying to help them, but we don't really see nobody scattered around like the land and stuff. And we don't know exactly how big this land is. And so, you know, as they're talking, and he tells her he heard that, you know, there's like this bridge and there's a loophole, and if you go to it, you can go back to the land of the living. And so, but how is he gonna get back to the land of the living? He's literally blown into a million pieces. So I don't understand that. So I'm thinking to myself, there's no way he's going back. But here's the strange thing. Donna doesn't want to go back. She's happy being dead. And she's happy being in afterlife. And she's trying to tell him, you're supposed to get past this whole Jason Todd thing and stuff like that. And so as they're having a conversation, she literally tells him she's not happy with how she died and everything. You know, like she's literally the strong being and she got taken out at a carnival. Like that really bugged her, you know what I'm saying? And so they're having like a really interesting conversation. He tells her, there's no way you want to stay here dead. Like, because, so this is what happened. Those ghoul things come back in the bar and they try to attack. And whenever they attack, they keep attacking Tim more than anybody else. And so when they attack, you know, they hurt Tim a whole lot more. And it's the point where it's killing him because they use this type of distortion wave from their hands. And so when this happens, she jumps in front of him trying to like protect him and stuff. And then so a huge fight's gonna happen. Then all of a sudden you hear bang bang. Some like the demonic dudes get like shot. And it's Hank. He has two guns in his hand. And I'm just thinking to myself, no, don't do this. don't do what I think they're about to do. And they do it. In this purgatory world, whatever you think of can show up. So I'm like, really? Is that how the car showed up? Is this how this house all of a sudden showed up? I don't know. But yeah, he's wielding like two pistols and stuff, which is kind of odd because he's not really the gun type. So anyways, so then he has a conversation with her and he said like he doesn't believe for a second she wants to stay dead because when those ghouls attacked the dude, you know, she jumped right in front of him. So he tells her you still have that superhero like spirit in you and stuff, which is something kind of interesting because in the first season she was ready to give up being a, well, she has given up being a superhero. Then she gets called back in to help out with Dick and well, who we assume was the first incarnation of the Titans and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Then of course in the second season she becomes a Titan again full time. So the continuity with the whole writing stuff is just so wacky and stuff, you know. But yeah, so he convinces her to go with them to the bridge and go back to the land of the living. So at least do it just to help the kids. So she agrees. So while they're there, they're going there, they get attacked again by the ghoul things as they're on the bridge and stuff. And the bridge is starting to crack a little bit. So then the huge fight scene happens. Tim is too scared to fight. And basically, he was too scared to fight there, and he's too scared to fight at the bar. Also, he tells them that he knows who they are. He knows that she's Donna Troy, Wonder Girl, and that Hank is like Hawk and Dove because he's researched it and he's watched videos and this and that. And when he kept stalking like Dick and everything. See, this is exactly why Dick needs to stop going out in the field without his costume. This is exactly why Starfire needs some type of disguise when she goes out in her everyday world and stop walking around in like outfits that are similar to her costume and going on. This is exactly why Gar needs a costume and needs to turn into an animal or something. You know, it's like people are able to figure out who they are and stuff. And so this is something else I didn't bring up because I haven't really reviewed Titans in a while because it's kind of like, man, ugh, you know, is that I'm so happy that in that last week episode when Tim found out who Dick was and the way he found out, it's right from the comic book. I'm just like, thank you for doing that. It's nice to have like, a nice little comic book reference and stuff. And you know, it's cool when they do change up their origins when it's for the better. But it was nice that they changed up that way for it to help him. So while they're in the car and they're going to the bridge, yeah, I forgot about that part. So Hank explains to them that whatever you can think of can show up in this world and stuff. So yeah, it's that. How does Hank know all this stuff but Donna don't? That's why I don't understand. She's been there longer. Anyways, so they're fighting the ghouls, so they start conjuring up some weapons. This is where the humor comes in. I have to admit, it was pretty funny, but I also have to admit, the humor is now just out of place when it comes to this show. This show has identified itself as being a dark, gritty, violent show. So throwing in humor now is just strange. They should have did that early on in season 1. Or they should have did it in season 2. And the fact that they didn't, it just feels so out of place. Just like this episode, it feels out of place. And so, it's too funny. She conjures up 2 alcohol bottles, which pisses her off. She's like, oh man. So that's all she's thinking about, just getting drunk. And Hank, he's all like, 2 guns, 2 guns, 2 guns. And then all of a sudden he gets 2 Robin type Batarang type things. And he's like, oh man, I totally wasn't thinking of Grayson at this time. So then he tries again and he comes up with nunchucks. So he's like, hey, it'll do. And so like he just starts whacking, he just starts going around acting like Michelangelo, but whacks himself in the face. I have to say, this was pretty funny, man. Like, even I couldn't complain about that. The only thing I can complain about that is out of place with the greediness of this show. But it was just hilarious. And so then he just starts whacking them left and right. And when you whack them, they explode. So then she uses the bottles and she throws it at them, but that don't work. And then when she sees Tim is about to get like hurt once again, she conjures up a sword. And it's like they finally showing Donna doing some action, but always with her is always short-lived. Her action sequences don't never last that long, but she's just slicing and dicing and killing these demon dudes with like the sword. Whereas Hank is just like whacking the crap out of them. But then the bridge starts to break and everything. And so they tell Tim to jump. And so when he jumps, he falls because he's not trained yet. So then all of a sudden her lasso of truth comes out and she grabs him. Then she starts taking the lasso and starts whooping on the demons. Now both her and Tim are on one side of the bridge while Hank's on the other. You can probably guess why. And it's like, oh man, don't do this. But they do it. Also, he complains that she gets a sword and he don't. And so he tells them just to go. Like he'll just stay here and he'll like keep these things at bay while they go back to the land of the living, and he'll stay here to help other people and stuff. I guess so many people get off that train, but we don't see nobody running around the woods. So they leave. And then he comes up with a baseball bat and he just starts swinging for the fences. So yeah, needless to say, Hank is gonna stay dead. And I'm thinking to myself, why won't they resurrect him unless... Oh, okay, the actor who plays Hank, he left to go play Jack Reacher in Amazon. So that's why he was killed off. So that now makes sense. So they head back to the part where the land of the living goes, and they talk a little bit. And as they're there, there's like a shining light, and then Tim collapses and he's bleeding, and she's like, it's okay, you must be come back like to the land of the living. And she comes back too. So Tim wakes up and he's in the hospital, and they're like, oh thank God he's like alive and stuff. There's blood all around his chest. Okay, this is another part that kind of bugs me at the purgatory world. Their clothes. When Tim was there, he's wearing the exact same clothes he did when he died. Makes sense. Donna is not wearing the same clothes when she died. She should have been wearing her Wonder Girl outfit. But of course, when they wrapped her up in stuff in Themyscira, they wrapped up in like traditional stuff. So why isn't she wearing that? She's just wearing regular clothes. And Hank should be naked, but he's wearing clothes. Thank God. So it doesn't make sense why she's wearing a completely different outfit than when she died and stuff. Also, what doesn't make sense is this part. So I haven't really talked about Raven in this episode, but there's not much about her. She's just upset she can't bring Donna back. She's mouthing off to the head Amazon lady, and she's doing it in a very bratty, teeny boppery kind of way. Like, I just don't like hearing Raven talk like that. But it's this version of Raven, so okay, whatever. But she hasn't matured yet, and you think she would after like 3 years and stuff. And so she gets in trouble for trying to resurrect her again, and then so next thing you know, they all, I think the head ladies are like, gonna do, I forget what they were talking about. I kind of zoned out and didn't care, but I just saw a bunch of rocks, and she's supposed to put the rocks there and something for her training, because I guess if they're gonna resurrect her, they're gonna do it properly and see if she can, like, you know, have true light balance and all this other crap. She can't put the rocks up. She keeps knocking them over, and then she uses her power to put them up, and then it knocks over. So then she's all like, I guess that's it, you know, I can't resurrect Donna, and there's no way to do it. And they're like, no, and blah blah blah. And then the Amazon lady said something that's interesting. She tried to resurrect her daughter because her daughter died, but she was unable to. Now, here's the thing I don't understand. Since when do Amazons have kids? The only Amazon to ever have a daughter is Hippolyta. And that was, of course, Diana, Wonder Woman. And so the other Amazon ladies, when they went to Themyscira, it depends on which version you read. Some left their husbands. Some of their husbands died and were enslaved. And so they were put on the island away from man and everything. So there's no men on the island. So I guess maybe this Amazon lady brought her daughter with her. That makes sense. But yeah. Also, this lady does not look like an Amazon. I'm sorry. Sorry, lady. Sorry. But here's the part that now bugs me. Raven's packing up and she gets a weird feeling. So she runs to the little tomb thingy that had the water in there with Donna's body. And she sees Donna is gone. Because Donna was literally in like a thing of water or something like that. And so she knows now Donna got resurrected. Then we start seeing a person walk and we see water dripping everywhere. First I'm thinking, okay, it's Donna. She gets up and she's walking around and there's water everywhere. But I'm like, wait a minute, them shoes are a little too big. They look like man feet in man shoes. Actually, women have man feet too, especially tall women. So, but they look like men's shoes. And then we start seeing like a gas tank. It's Bruce. Wherever that castle thing he's in, somewhere in London, he's about to set himself on fire. And I'm just like, Wait, this is how he's gonna die? I thought he was probably sick or something like that. But you're telling me Bruce Wayne, the Batman, is about to commit suicide? No, this is why I hate this show. They have pissed all over Batman and the Bat family to the point it's not even funny. Batman doesn't commit suicide. Batman is Batman. Batman will be Batman to the day he's like 100, and even if he has to move around in a mech suit or like a hologram, he will be Batman. You know? And if he can't be Batman, he will train somebody else to be Batman. This show pisses me off so much to the point where I'm starting to hate this show now. Because I hate how they're doing Batman, because I'm a huge Batman fan. And I hate because every superhero in this show is a murderer. Like, I'm not even joking. Ugh. So anyway, he sets the place on fire. He's laying down and he's like about to die. So it's like, okay, well, he's about to burn. Then all of a sudden we see this distortion wave and light, and in comes Donna. And she's like, come on, Bruce, we have to go and everything. And he's all like, am I dead? I'm just like, wow. And so now Batman does humor. The man who literally doesn't smile and doesn't tell a joke and all like that, he's now cracking jokes in a humorous kind of way. I'm like, no, stop pissing on Batman. And then here's the part that also bugs me. How in the world did she get there? When you come from the land of the dead back to the land of the living, you are literally supposed to end up back in your body where you was at. She should have been in Themyscira. Now all of a sudden she's in London and she just happens to rescue Bruce. Like, that makes no sense. That was some poop type writing, man. I can't even like get my words out, man. Like, that was just some bad writing. So then we get an interesting, touching scene where Hank is in the woods alone and he's a little sad, and all of a sudden his brother shows up. I forget his brother's name. I think it might be Donnie. But anyway, his brother shows up and he's all like, this is the part that's kind of confusing because his brother's been dead for years. So you think he would have been passed. And he's like, hey man, what are you doing here? He's like, I've been waiting for you and everything. And like helping these people out, fighting these little demon things. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, so he hopped off the train too to fight demon things. But how did he know that Hank will literally be there years later? Like, what if Hank didn't get off the train? So that right there is bad writing too. And then, so they decide they're gonna like, you know, joke around a little bit and walk around, and they start talking. So it was nice and touching to see him with his brother because, you know, he loved his brother to like death, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing that's really pissed me off with this purgatory world. The bridge is now broken. They can literally jump over it because they have that, because, you know, they're really athletic and stuff. If not, they can get trees and build it like a bridge, and not only they can get material and build a bridge because there's material there in that purgatory world. Plus, if you can conjure up anything you want, why not conjure up another bridge? Like, you see what I'm talking about with the bad writing? Like, they literally put this rule in place and this loophole, but then they're all like, oh, but no, can't do it with these characters because these characters gone for good. And it's just like, that don't make no sense. And I hate bad writing. Like, you can't say you can conjure up anything you want in the world, but you can't conjure up a bridge to go back to the land of the living. You know what I'm saying? Plus, how is Hank going to get back in the land of the living? He's literally blown up. And Donnie's body is literally bones, decomposed. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I don't know. So all in all, this was an interesting episode. It kind of took me out a little bit of the funk just because of how like interesting, odd, and humorous it was. However, like I said, it is an odd episode to show up all of a sudden, like in the 8th or 9th episode. And after having all this other stuff that's been going on with the Jason and Scarecrow Red Hood thing. And so, like, I just don't get it. And also, I don't get how Hank doesn't know who the persona of Red Hood. Like, he knows it's Jason, but he acting like this is the first time he ever heard of Red Hood. I could have sworn that they said early on in this season that Joker used to use the mantle of Red Hood, so therefore Hank should have known what it is, you know. But it's just like, all in all, this was just a pretty neat, like, it was a neat episode. Like, it was pretty interesting. But there was still logical problems that I just can't ignore because I'm not a little kid. You know, I'm a grown man watching the show, and logic has to make sense. And if you're gonna give me some throwaway lines, you better make sense towards the end of the episode and stuff. And so it just doesn't make sense as to why Donna showed up to save Bruce, and she's supposed to be in Themyscira. Like, her body is literally supposed to be there. Did she use like a portal to get there? No, because we've seen that the Amazons don't have that type of capability. And last season, they literally took a jet, like a regular jet, not even an invisible jet, a regular jet. Because they didn't have the budget to do anything like that, and they didn't have the budget to have like no cool Amazon clothes and stuff, or to find any bodybuilders. And so, like, how did she get there? You have to make sense, writers. Fans of the show can make more sense and can write better than y'all. Like, what are y'all doing? Greg Bertinelli and Jeff Johns, like, what are y'all doing, man? Y'all the executive producers of this show, and y'all let this fly. Even on the Flash or the CW Arrowverse show, nothing strange will come up like this, where she just shows out of like nowhere to save that dude in the nick of time. You know what I'm saying? Now, I get why he wants to commit suicide. He failed Jason. He really loves Jason. I don't know why. Jason's a butthead. But since this Bruce is really moody and stuff, I guess he loves that. And so, like, you know, so that kind of makes sense. But the whole train thing and the time, and why was Donna still there 9 months later? And how did Hank's brother know that some way at some point in time they will reunite? And it's just kind of like, that's just hopeful writing, that's bad writing, that's quick white writing, and I just don't like that. So I guess next week we'll go back to the whole Jason Todd thing, which I was kind of hoping they will kind of hurry up and get to, you know what I'm saying? Because this is what the whole thing's about. So to deviate from this is weird. And also, if you're going to deviate like this, they didn't explain how Donna saw Jason and how her ghostly figure was over his body in the first episode. That literally, I thought for sure that would have been Raven messing around with her magic and Donna and stuff, but no. I was also hoping maybe this whole season would have been a dream that Raven created and everything, but no. And just to have Raven just show up out of nowhere after all these episodes, man. So now I guess she's gonna rejoin the Titans and stuff. And they only got like, what, 4 episodes left? I have a feeling this show is gonna end in a weird kind of way. Also, Corey's sister, Blackfire, how does she know how to speak Earth English? Because the thing about Tamaranians is that they have an alien language. And the only way to learn it is you have to kiss somebody on the lips. So who was she kissing on the lips when she came down to Earth? Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.